Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over the new cars that have had drift tuning added to them in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now, this is kind of an unreported on part of the new bottom dollar bounties update in Grand Theft Auto Online, but we do have a few cars that have had drift tuning added to them, like the Volcar Nebula Turbo that you can see sitting here in front of me. This thing has drift tuning now within the LS car meet. So anyway, we're going to head over there and we're going to put drift tuning on this car. Now, we also have two other vehicles that have had the drift tuning modification added to them. Those being the Ubermacht Cypher as well as the Ubermacht Sentinel Classic Widebody, which is pretty cool. So I'm kind of a big fan of like all of these cars. I would actually say that the Nebula Turbo is the one I'm the least of a fan of. I've just never really been into this car. It's like, it was sort of a drift car before drifting was easy in GTA Online, I guess, is a way that I could put it. It would definitely take some skill to actually get good at drifting with the Volcar Nebula Turbo, and I was just never really willing to put in the time, nor was I interested in it, to be honest. But now that this thing has the drift tuning modification available for it, I think this could actually be a really good drift car, because it's always kind of been capable at drifting, I would say, probably more than a lot of other cars in the game, but it was definitely one of the ones that was a little bit harder to master. So anyways, I'm very excited, and we're almost here at the LS car meet, so I am going to, oh god, I've crashed, oh dear. We're gonna head inside. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the drift tuning upgrade for the Nebula Turbo, and then we're gonna take it outside and we're gonna try drifting it. We're gonna do the same thing with the Cypher and the same thing with the Ubermacht Sentinel Classic Widebody. So I'm very excited about this. Sometimes cars don't want to go into the shop here in the LS car meet. It's really weird, but as you can see, drift tuning up here at the tip top, and we're gonna go ahead and install the drift tune. Now, do keep in mind that before you install the drift tune, you should have these cars fully upgraded, because it says it doesn't make a difference, but it actually does. So make sure you have turbo, full engine, and full transmission on your car before you actually put the drift tuning on it. Also set up the suspension how you want it, and armor and everything too. It all matters, and it's all good to do beforehand. So anyways, let's see how this thing behaves. So far so good. It's relatively controllable and everything like that. I have a feeling this might actually be a really good drift car, just because of how good the Nebula Turbo always kind of has been at drifting, or it's been more drifting oriented than probably many other cars in the game. Like I'd say it's even more drifting oriented than the Karen Futo, and that car is like the most legendary drift car in GTA 5. So I think the Nebula Turbo, I mean, it's feeling pretty good. I'm having to, I gotta say, I am enjoying driving it so far. It seems to be doing very well, actually. So that's a good thing. I'm very curious to try out the Cypher as well as the Ubermacht Sentinel Classic Widebody. I think that car is going to be really sick too. So definitely something I'm excited to try out. I wish this thing would brake traction a little bit better. It's like almost got too much grip, it almost feels like. But I mean, it's not horrible, it's not awful to drive, but it definitely is a little bit on the grippier side. It definitely, the wheels are having a harder time like sort of breaking loose and whatnot. With that being said, though, it still feels really good, so that's excellent. I don't know, it feels really like bouncy and like kind of like loose almost. Like it doesn't really feel, I don't feel as direct with this car as I do with like something like the Jester RR, for example. Like if I point the front end of the Jester RR somewhere, I know it's going there. Whereas this car, it's like, I mean, granted, I have been doing this for all of 2 minutes, so I probably shouldn't be so quick to judge, but this thing just doesn't feel as confidence-inspiring as some of the other like Tuners DLC drift cars. So that's something to keep in mind for sure. I'm really excited to try out the Ubermacht Cypher, though, I'm not gonna lie. So I think that's what we're gonna go ahead and do next. But I will just drift around the block here one more time, and yeah, I don't know. This thing, it feels okay, but I feel like it could feel better. And maybe that's just in my, suspension tuning or something like that. Maybe I haven't got this thing like dialed in 100%. But yeah, it's feeling okay. It's not bad. It's not bad. It definitely could be a little bit better, but it definitely could be a lot worse too. So we're gonna hop out, and I'm gonna go ahead and call my Cypher over here, and we'll go ahead and upgrade that with the drift tuning. Alright, one of my 4 Ubermax Cyphers has arrived, and this is the one that we'll be putting the drift tuning modification on. Even though this is supposed to be my race car, so I'm almost kind of regretting doing it to this one, but it is what it is. I can always take it off, right? So that's what matters. Let's see here. Drift tuning, $200,000. Let's go ahead and throw that on the car, and let's head right back outside. Now something else cool with this DLC, we do have 2 more drift tunable cars coming through Drip Feed in the coming weeks and months, and those are going to be the AMG Hammer Coupe, or the GTA version of it at least, which will be really sick. There's going to be a regular version of it coming, and then you'll also be able to put the drift tuning modification on it, which is super sick. And then another thing that we do have is the Karen Futo, and we're getting the Karen Futo Drift, which is pretty sick. So I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know why the Karen Futo wasn't one of the original cars that were, that were included with the drift tuning. I think that that's kind of a huge L by Rockstar. I don't know why you wouldn't include that car. It's the most iconic drift car in GTA Online. Like, I don't know how you're gonna just skip over the Karen Futo, but apparently they did. But anyway, we're going to be getting it in the next little while here. So I don't know when it's coming. We have no idea, but it is apparently slated to be coming. The Ubermax Cypher feels really, really good to me. It feels more like the Dinkajester RR, more like the Annis Remus, more like the ZR350, everything like that. I mean, it is a Tuners DLC car, so it is bound to kind of feel a lot more like a bunch of its peers that also came out with the Tuners DLC. But this thing feels really good. It feels a lot better than the Nebula Turbo to me. Maybe that's just me, I don't know, but maybe my style of drifting is just different. But yeah, I don't know. The Nebula Turbo does not feel as good as the Cypher. I think this thing just feels a lot more direct, I think is the best way I can kind of describe it. Like, I know exactly what it's doing, and I know exactly where it's going. So the Cypher is like a bit of a weapon, honestly. I feel like this actually might be one of the better drift cars in GTA Online, at least in my opinion. It feels really good. It feels kind of similar to the Karen Futo GTX, which I have talked about as being my favorite drift car prior to this. But I think the Cypher may have just taken the spot, honestly. This thing feels absolutely awesome. I gotta say, I'm very impressed with the Ubermax Cypher right now. I do love this car generally, so I mean, maybe it's just because I like the car already, and I'm kind of used to the Cypher a little bit more than, the Nebula Turbo, for example. But it feels really good, man. I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, but this feels really, really good. So that is very good to see. I'm excited to try out the Ubermax Sentinel Classic Widebody, and I'm also excited because I think I'm going to have to remake my best drift cars list that I just made, like literally this month. So that's annoying, but oh well, we'll have an updated list coming soon. So stay tuned for that, guys. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm going to be covering everything to do with this DLC in the coming days and weeks and whatnot, and of course all the drip feed as it comes out and whatnot. But man, the Cypher feels good. I gotta say, I'm digging the Cypher a lot, man. This thing, it feels so damn good. Let's go ahead and just give the Ubermax Sentinel Classic Widebody a call, and we'll see how it behaves with the drift tuning applied to it. So I'll just pull over right here, and I will call that, and we will get into it. I lucked out and called the same sort of style of car as my Cypher. This thing is done with the same zero gas livery and the same bronze wheels, so that kind of works out pretty well, I guess. Okay, let's go ahead and hop back in the car now, and we will just super quickly put this drift tuning modification on this thing and see how it does. I feel like the wide body is going to be a bit of a sleeper. I feel like it might honestly be the best out of all the cars that have got the new drift tuning. I'm excited to try it out at the very least, right? So it's on there now. Another 200 grand down the drain. 600 grand in this video so far, just on modifications, I guess. It's good. Okay, let's see how she does. so far so good. This thing feels like it breaks traction way easier than the Cypher and the Nebula Turbo for that matter as well, which I do like. I am a fan of this so far. Let's see how this thing does. We're gonna take it in some tighter sort of areas here. We'll see how it performs. So far so good. It's actually feeling really nice. I'm digging this car a lot. It might feel even better than the Cypher, I'm not gonna lie. And it's nice and small too, which is the other thing that's really good about it. It is a little bit on the wider side because of that wide body, but I still think it's skinnier than the Cypher. So yeah, this thing feels really, really good actually. It feels super controllable. I don't know if it has something to do with suspension height or something like that maybe, but this thing is pretty much like slammed, so that would kind of explain it. If you know, maybe the lower a car is, the better it'll be when it comes to the drift tuning stuff. But because the Nebula Turbo I have is a little bit on the higher side, so maybe there's something to that. I don't really know, but all I know is this thing feels good, man. It feels real good. Let's see if I can't do a drift. Oh, a little wall tap there, my fault. Let's see if I can't just hold. Oh, I can't. It's hard to hold angle with these cars, I find. I feel like I end up just like swinging back and forth a lot. Oh my god. Oh. Okay, that was not a clean drift at all. That like actually sucked. But I've never claimed to be a good drifter, so I guess it kind of works out. Yeah, this thing feels good. It's not very good for like holding angle as far as I'm able to tell. I mean, maybe somebody who's actually skillful at drifting could correct me there, but I mean, I can't seem to get it to hold angle, which that's fine. That's all good. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, out of the three, I think I definitely like the two Ubermachts better than I like the Volcar, the Nebula Turbo. I think that the wide body is just a little bit more sort of conducive. Like it just feels better. To me at least. I mean, that might not be the case for everybody though, so do, you know, take that with a grain of salt and keep that in mind. But the Cypher felt really good. It might be the most well balanced of the three, because this thing is like super duper twitchy, and my Cypher was a little less twitchy. It was more like a smooth sort of go of things, and then the Nebula Turbo just felt a little slow to react, honestly, and it didn't feel as precise as this or the Cypher for that matter. So out of the three, like if you're looking to put the modification on one of your three cars, and if you own all three, I'd say probably put it on the Cypher. I think it's just kind of the best overall out of the three. It seems like it's the easiest to drift. So that's the one I would go for, at least in my opinion. So do with that information what you will. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you did, a like is of course appreciated. If not, dislike of course. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new and you want to see more content like this, or various other types of content that I make. And anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.